Hi everybody. Well, today I decided I need to make kimchi, so I've been wanting to do this for the last week, but it's been raining. So I decided that's okay, I'm going to do it anyway. So in the pot there I have what is 2 heads of Napa cabbage that I picked from my garden. I have some scallions behind there, and I'm getting ready to just wash them off and make sure there's no little bugs all over it before I make it. That stuff there in the colander is what goes to the chickens and the ducks. They just love it. Okay, I'll be back with you when I get to the next step of whatever it is here that I'm doing. Okay? See ya! Okay, what I did was I chopped off the ends and took the leaves off piece by piece, and I put them in this big pot. And I put a little bit of salt in it, and some apple cider vinegar and water. And what that does is it gets all the dirt and bugs off of it. So after you don't have to leave it in here for very long, just a few minutes. Soak it and swish it around a little bit. And so what I'm doing is I'm doing this outside today because we're got some other things going on in Mom's kitchen today, so I decided to do it out here in between the rain. So what I'm doing is I'm just gonna take the pieces out, put them in this tote, and then I'll dump all this water out of this pot, and then I will rinse them with just plain water. And after they're clean, then I will cut it up and cut the vegetables up, and I'll be back with you to show you that part, okay? Okay, I have the Napa cabbage all rinsed off and bug-free, so now we're getting ready to cut it and salt it and let it sit for a while. So what we're going to do is, now all of this here is from 3 heads, 2 large ones and 1 smaller. So I'm going to cut these really tough ends off first, so they can go to the chickens, because the chickens will love those. Okay. And oh, what I wanted to say was, always keep a few of these big leaves, the really big ones. Keep a few of those back, because you're going to want to, after you pack your jars, you're going to want to fold these up and pack them on top to hold your kimchi under the liquid. So we'll set those aside. Okay, so after I cut the ends off, then I will just take the knife and sort of cut them in half here. Yeah, if I don't chop my fingers off. Okay. I had to move inside because the rain just wasn't quitting. And the reason I was doing it out there is I actually have more room out on that table outside than I do here in my camper, but that's okay. We can make this work. So, all right, then I slice it in half long ways, and then, oh, I don't know, however big that you would like your chunks. I like mine about 2 inches long. So that's what you do, and I just put them in here because I have a lot of it, so I'll throw them all in there, and then I'll salt them after I get everything cut here. So this is what to do. Oh yeah, and make sure you want to make sure everything is clean before you do this. Most people know that. Okay. So I'll just put that over here. Now these little pieces, once you get to the center of your cabbages, these tiny little pieces, I don't cut those. I just throw them in because they're kind of cute. And sometimes I'd like a bigger piece. So, you know, up to about that size is good. Those can go in, those can go in. These I'll cut in half. Okay. Alright, now I have a few little pieces here of dinosaur kale. I like it. I put it in my kimchi. It's optional. I haven't seen many recipes with it, but these are some of the smaller leaves from my dinosaur kale plants. And I really like it in mine, so that's why I put it in. That's, of course, optional. You can put in or leave out, other things, whatever you like. So I just cut it up a little bit, and I don't put the stalks in. They go to the chickens, too. So we'll just throw that in there. Okay. Alright. Now we'll do the next bunch. I wish I had planted more of these in the spring, so I would have more right now, because I love kimchi. I could eat it all the time. But it's okay, because I'm going to start some more, so I'll have a fall crop. I'm making quite a mess here. Alright, let me get the rest of this cut up, and then when we get to the next step, I'll come back. Okay? See you then. Okay, I have all the cabbage cut up. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a half a cup of salt. Some recipes call for kosher salt or sea salt. I have Himalayan pink salt, so that's what we're going to use. So once you get your cabbage cut up, you just sprinkle it all over your cabbage in a bowl, or I use this big plastic tote because that works great for me. So just sprinkle it in, and then just work it around all through your cabbage. Just like that. A little bit, and I'll put the rest in. I like the pink salt. That's all I use for just about everything. There are certain things that call for certain special salts. For instance, like if you're canning or pickling, but I like to use the pink salt for just almost everything. So when you start mixing it around, the salt's going to start sticking to the cabbage. Just mix it around really good, so you think you have it sort of coated on everything. Okay. That's pretty good. I think that's good. It looks like it's all over everything. So, now what I'll do is I'll just put the lid on this. And the salt is going to start drawing the water out of the cabbage and making it soften up. So, I will put the lid on this, and let me go get the lid. Okay, there's the lid. I'll just sit that on there. I'll let it sit like that for a few hours, and I'll come back and check it, in about a half an hour or an hour, and I'll mix it up again with my hands and toss it around. I'll leave it sit for probably, maybe 2 hours like that, and I'll mix it up periodically. Then I will take a little bit of cold water and pour over the top, and I'll let it sit like that for another few hours. And at that point, then it'll be time to mix up our seasoning and add our other vegetables, our green onions, the radish, ginger, garlic, things like that. So at that point, I'll come back and we'll do that. Thanks. Okay, while I'm waiting for the salt to do its work on the cabbage and soften it up, I went ahead and chopped up my radishes, green onions, garlic, ginger. Now, it calls for daikon radish. I didn't have any, and yes, I normally plant and grow some, but this year I ran out of time and space and I didn't get any. So I just used regular red radishes from the store. Hold on a minute. Okay, so I used the red radishes from the store. Had to turn my scanner down, it was getting noisy. So you can just cut them up, and there's approximately 10 ounces here of radishes, and cut them up into matchstick size pieces. Mine are, well, like, okay, they're like big matchsticks, I guess. About 2 inches. A ginger. Now that was only a small piece of ginger, about 1.5 inches. Normally I would have used about a 3-inch piece of ginger, but that was all I had today. So that's what went in. So you just peel it and mince it. With the garlic, I used 10 garlic cloves, and I minced it up pretty fine. So that's the garlic. All right, and then over here, I have green onions. I used 6 onions. From my garden, I pulled 2 red ones and 4 white ones. And I cut them up into about inch-size pieces, including the green tops. All right, and then we have some fish sauce. We'll be using that, and I'll go into how much when we get ready to mix it all in. And I know a lot of recipes call for Korean hot chili powder. Well, I don't have that and can't find it in the grocery stores here because we're sort of in a small town area. But what I did find was this ground fresh chili paste. It's a Asian ground fresh chili paste. I've used this before and it works really well. And that's 8 ounces. We'll be using this whole jar. So, when it's time to mix all of these up and mix it together, I'll be back. Okay, it's not been even an hour yet, and I just wanted to show you how much this shrinks down already. So I'll zoom in here just a little bit, and if you remember when I put it in here, it was almost to the top of this tote, and now it's just across the bottom and it's wilting. See, that's what it should look like. So the salt's doing its job, and we'll just move it around a little bit in here. So it's really starting to look good. Okay, and I think what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and add a little bit of water to it now. And you can just, this is filtered water I'm using from my Berkey filter. I'll just put a little bit in there. Okay, that's about 1/3 of a gallon, I guess. Alright, smush it around a little bit, make sure it's all wet and covered. That's looking pretty good. Okay, I'll come back in a little while and I'll swoosh it around a little more. I guess swoosh is a word, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to put the lid back on and let it sit for a little while longer. And I'll be back with you when we're ready to add the other ingredients. Okay, it's been a few hours. Now I'm going to drain the cabbage and put it in a bowl so we can mix our other ingredients in. Normally I would just dump it through a strainer, but since my strainer is a little dirty and I didn't get a chance to go and wash it yet, I'm going to just squeeze it out, which will do just fine. And you want to taste it a little bit. Okay, it's a little salty. So what I'll do is, after I squeeze this out, I'll rinse it with some water and do this again. Because you don't want to have it too salty that you don't want to eat it. And that's what it would be if I didn't rinse it. So, let me do a rinse, and then I'll come back with you. Okay, I've got all the cabbage drained and the salt rinsed off of it. It's ready to go. It's right here in this bowl. And as you can see, it shrinks down quite a bit. So, but we're probably going to get 2 to 3 quarts, I hope. Alright, so there's our cabbage. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the other ingredients. So I took my radishes, green onions, the garlic, and the ginger. And as I showed you earlier, it's all cut up. But anyway, I put it in this bowl. So I'm just going to dump it in here. Everything in there with the cabbage. Okay. Then we're going to add our fish sauce. If you can see that. Okay. We're going to add a tablespoon. This thing is really tough to open also. Not much chance of it popping open by accident. Okay, we're going to take a tablespoon of fish sauce. And you could use more or less. It's, I like it, so I put a tablespoon in. Some folks might only want to put a teaspoon in. You don't need, like, tons of it. And what it is it's extract of anchovies, is I believe what this says on here. Yep, anchovy extract. So if you like anchovies, go for it. If you don't really even have to put it in here. Okay, we got that. Now we're going to add our fresh chili paste, Korean chili paste. And this is an 8-ounce jar, so we're just going to add the whole thing because I like it spicy. Some people don't like it real spicy. If that's the case for you, you could put just half of this in there. Okay. There, see, I'm making lots of noise for you to enjoy. Okay. That chili paste is good. Alright, then once you get it in there, all you have to do is just mix it up. I like to do it by hand so I can squish it around. And once you start mixing this in, it starts really smelling amazing. I hope the camera is picking this up. After I get it mixed, I'll give you a close-up shot. But that's all I do, is I just mix it around by hand and make sure everything's coated. Wow, this smells great. Too bad they don't have smell-o-vision on YouTube. This is great. Okay. That's really coming together nice. Okay. I like to mix it really good, so I make sure I get some of the ingredients in each jar, and they're not all clumped together, stuck to each other. Okay, there. That's mixed up pretty nicely. So let me see if I can zoom in here without getting chili paste all over my camera. Doesn't that look great? Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack it in my jars. let me get a napkin here to wipe my hand off. And I ordered some, I don't know what you call them. They're airlocks. People use them for fermenting different things, sauerkraut, and I guess some people make other things with it. And I ordered some. And this is what I'm going to do with it. See, they come. You don't get the lids with it. They just come. This is the airlock here. And you put a little bit of water in here. Well, you take that out. You fill the water up to the fill line, then you put that thing on. And then you pop it back in here. Now, I didn't have, these are regular wide mouth ball canning lids. I had to drill the hole myself. Now, the grommets came with these airlocks, but I had to drill the hole myself so that the grommet would fit. They're a 1/2 inch outside diameter, and I believe 3/8 on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to pack the jars, and then I'll be back with you. Okay, I have the jars packed. I got 2 quarts. I packed them fairly tight. Usually I get a little more than that, but I packed them really tight. So, I have them in all here, and I brought it up to just right at the neck of the jar, right where the lids screw on, right below that. And you remember I said always to save some of these big leaves. Okay, well this is what I do. I just fold them up, and then I put it, I just cram it here on top to push everything down carefully. You don't want to overflow the jar. But I just push it down there. That way, all your kimchi is underneath the liquid and it'll all ferment correctly. So, that's what I do. Now, I know there's 1,000 different ways to make kimchi. I'm not Asian, and I'm certainly no expert on making things. But I make it the way I like it. I looked at a lot of different recipes, and I took the ingredients that I liked, and I tried a couple different ways, and this way is the way I like it. So there's, I guess, however you want to make it is up to you. Okay, so push those down in there. Let me wipe off my hands. Alright. Now we're going to put our lids on. There's one. And, oh, yeah, you want to wipe off the top, the rim of your jar, like you do when you're canning. And although we're not canning this, it is going to ferment. So when you put your lid on, you don't want any little bits and pieces here. You know, so the lid just wants to fit nice and snug there without any gaps or bits and pieces in between it and the jar. Okay. And then I just put it on hand tight. You don't have to really tighten it down. So, and like I said, I did these myself. I got a Forstner bit, 1/2 inch Forstner bit, and I just laid this on a nice 2x4 and drilled the hole in. Because I looked on Amazon and a few other places for the pre-drilled lids, and let me tell you, they were so expensive. There's no way I was gonna pay something that kind of price. I can't even remember, but it was outrageous. And I said, well, I'm not gonna pay that kind of money for something I can do myself. Took me a couple tries with different bits till I found the one that worked. But it was really good. And then you just push your little airlocks down in the hole, just so they're snug. You don't have to really force them too hard. Okay. Now, see, now I shouldn't have did that yet. You don't want to put this on until you put your water in. Okay. Once you have those there, then what you do is you get a little bit of water. And let me get a little bit of water and I'll be right with you. Okay. They have a fill line, which is right here. So all you do is you just pour a little bit of water in there to your fill line. Try not to drop it down in the tube that lets the air out of your jar. Okay. Now I've made this before without these airlocks, just by screwing the lids down and sitting it on a towel, because as this stuff ferments, there's pressure that builds up in here and it's going to leak. It leaks out all over your jars, which was okay because I just sat it in a little tub with a towel underneath it and it caught it. However, it did buckle these lids quite severely because of the amount of pressure that builds up in there when it's fermenting. So I decided that I probably should get these airlocks. And then once you have your water into the fill line, you just drop this little top cap in there. Okay. There you go. And it's ready. So now what I'll do is I'm going to sit these in the tub that I salted the cabbage with, because as this ferments, it will off gas and it will burp up through these airlocks, and it may still overflow a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm just going to set it in there. I'm going to let it ferment, and the longer you let it go, the better it tastes. It even tastes good right now, but I would say a minimum of 5 days, and if you let it go longer, the longer it goes, the better it ferments, the better it tastes. And when it's at the point where you like it, and that's how you want it, you take this lid off, put a lid with no hole on it, screw it down tight, and put it in your fridge, and that will slow down the fermentation, slow it way down so it'll stay the way you want it. And then you'll have to keep it refrigerated at that point. Okay, I will be back in just a minute and show you what the little bit I have left over is going to taste like. And here are my 2 beautiful jars of kimchi, ready to do their fermentation. That's what it will look like. Okay, now for the taste test. Okay, here's what's left over that wouldn't fit in the jar. I think you can see that, right? Okay, so we're going to taste test it, see what it tastes like, and I think it's really going to taste good. So I hope I have the camera angled the right way, but if not, well, I'll learn from it. Here's the taste test. That is some spicy kimchi. It's gonna be delicious. Okay, well, I guess when I pop a jar open, I'll let y'all know how it came out. Thanks for watching. See y'all later.